Hey, howdy people. Welcome back. What's up? How's it going? I'm checking out Meshuggah, Catch 33. This is, in fact, the first Meshuggah album that I will ever hear. So thank you to Andrew K-Balls for this album tier request. If you want to request an album, hop on over to my Patreon, link in description. Or if you're watching this on Patreon, then you know it exists. But you can request an album for me to listen to as well, if you want. I am backed up on albums. I have 6 more to check out after this. So yikes, but we will get them done and we will keep going because that's what we do around here. All right. I'm probably going to title this, if you're watching it on YouTube, I'm probably going to title it My First Time Hearing Meshuggah or something like that. That's kind of a lie, but also it's not really because everybody knows Bleed and I have heard Bleed. I know I've also heard New Millennium Cyanide Christ, although I could not for the life of me tell you like how that song goes. I don't remember it at all. So this is technically my first time listening to any substantial amount of Meshuggah that is not their most popular song. So I'm really excited to get into this. I have gone on record, or at least I've said in my Discord, that Meshuggah is mid because it is the same thing over and over again for 10 minutes straight. And that is I only say that because I have heard Bleed, and in the probably countless times that I've listened to Bleed over the years, I haven't listened to it recently, but like I used to a lot back in the prog days. I don't know why I never listened to Meshuggah, because like I really liked Bleed back in the day. I just never listened to any of their other music, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, even like in the countless times I've listened to them, to Bleed, it's kind of just become a little bit monotonous, but that's only because I've heard it a lot. So this is actually my first time hearing something substantial from them. If you have been in my Discord, you may have seen the Severance meme floating around of the, like, when your coworker doesn't like Meshuggah, and it's the scene from season 1, episode 7 during the music dance experience, and they're listening to some song off another album that's not this one. And that song goes hard, and it was kind of like just almost the same note for the entire clip, and I could have listened to that for 10 minutes. So if that's what Meshuggah is, I think I will adore this album. So fingers crossed. I really want to like this album. Here's hoping I like it. Let's get into this. Again, thank you to Andrew/Kballs for this album tier request. He finally caved in and is making me listen to Meshuggah. So let's check this out. This is Meshuggah, Catch 33. Yep, this is Meshuggah. Why even have a new song? This is just part 2 of the same song. This probably all flows as one piece, doesn't it? One Piece? I promise I'm gonna stop making One Piece jokes one day, even though I've never seen or know anything about the show. I'm just gonna let the groove take me. Part 3. Ooh, it changed. It changed. The instrumental's changed. Becomes my very shackles. Back to this, but like changed a little bit, right? I think the rhythm's changed a little bit. Hello? This reminds me of Pool Spray by Veil of Maya, this specific riff. Obviously Pool Spray came later. When did this album drop? 2005, okay. I was 7. Oh! This goes so hard. Now they're combining the riff from earlier with this weird atmospheric part. This is so weird. They just keep layering things in such a weird way, and it just keeps going. Oh! 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 This is so, like, it's got some groove to it. Oh, what is that tuned to? That's not even a note. He just went and unscrewed that peg, and then just the string is going. That's his guitar string right now. It is just. What in the world am I listening to? I guess, you know, I'm just gonna let it go. I'll talk at the end. Just let it run its course. I'm not interrupting this. This is peaceful. I can fall asleep right now. Oh, wait, double time? Mysterious double time. What in the world is this? This riff is so sick. This song's 13 and a half minutes? When all the other ones are like 1 or 2, huh? I'm trying to follow it. How weird. This whole thing is just weird. I'm looking at the album art. I love this with the weird snakes and what's presumably more snakes in the background. Oh. It's so funky. Excuse me? Oh, weird. There it is. Knew that was coming. Is this the same riff from the beginning now, this part? Or am I confusing it with a different riff? Fun. Oh. Ew. Uh-huh. This is maybe the strangest album I've heard on this channel. And I listen to Quiet World, but this is the exact opposite of that. They sure are taking their time with this. Okay. These vocals are weird. Okay. That is a long scream. Is this the riff from the beginning again? It sounds similar rhythmically. Severance? You can stop screaming, bro. Pre-watched, I called it. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. I don't think I've ever, been like at a loss for words after listening to an album like I am with this. And I just don't know what to think. I just have no idea. I don't know. It was impressive for them to play that, for them to kind of, like, gosh, dude, I have no words. It was impressive to hear them play and remember those rhythms. There were quite a few good, fun grooves. I just don't think it needed to be this long. This could have been 20 minutes and still had all the good grooves and everything. Just cut it down. Instead of 4 minutes on one section, why don't you spend maybe a minute and a half? Did it need to be that long? Is there a reason for that? Is there What's the lore reason behind staying on the same riff for 6-7 minutes straight? Is it building atmosphere? Is it telling the story? I'm not saying this to be like mean or anything. I genuinely want to know. I genuinely want to know why it's so long. Because when you're listening to the just the same riff over and over again, especially there at the end, like that whole last track could have been 3 minutes. I'm not even mad about like the break in the middle, like the quiet down break in the 13-minute track. It's kind of an interesting midpoint of the album. I just don't know why. I don't understand why they have to sit on the same riffs forever. Like it gets old. It's just a little boring. Now that I've gotten the negatives out of the way, I do think the riffs themselves and the atmosphere and everything else besides the length of the album was very good. If we're disregarding how long this album is and we're just pushing all of that to the side, I think this is very well done. I think the riffs are really fun. I think the first few tracks where it kind of starts building stuff and it starts building that riff and it starts adding on to it, I think that's really good. And I really enjoyed that. It was about the halfway point. I would say just kind of before that quiet middle section where it kind of died down and then built its way back up. I think just before that middle section, I was starting to be like, okay, this is kind of just going. And then the last half just solidified that it's too long. And to say that about an album that's less than 50 minutes is a little weird. I mean, it's 47 minutes long. But when you have like 7 or 8 ideas, and they're really good ideas, they're very good ideas, and they're really well played, and they're very interesting, but interesting can only get you so far after 5 minutes of the same thing. And I think it was done interestingly in like the first 3 tracks-ish, 3 like into 4 and stuff, because like this stuff, these acted as like your 3 opening paragraphs, and they kind of described whatever was happening in this story. And then everything kind of like dies down, and whatever the story of this dude who's becoming ethereal, disembodied, whatever is happening, he sheds his physical form and becomes just a scream into the void or whatever. I think the stuff of like that was cool, and I think that was well done. I just think it was a little long. I think this is something that could, with a few more listens, it could get better. I could like it more, and I foresee that happening. Now that I'm aware of the fact that it just drags, I think I shall enjoy more listens. But on a first listen, it was a little bit jarring, to say the least. But everything that was within the length was really good. I'm reminded of a quote by Bilbo Baggins in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, where he says he feels thin like butter scraped over too much bread or stretched over too much bread or something like that. And that's kind of how I feel about this album. It's good. Like, you get some nice buttered toast. Yummy. But you take that butter and you stretch it over too much bread, and the bread itself doesn't have enough butter for the butter to be tasty enough with the bread. And that's kind of how I feel here. The album is good. I'm going to rate it positively because it's a good album. It's just really stretched. It just overstays its welcome too much. And that's the part I don't like. And that brings it down for me. So I'm going to give this... Goes hard. Excuse me. I'm hiccuping. Goes hard. I think this goes hard. I like everything in this album except the length. It's just long. So, I see where the love for this album comes. And I see where if you listen to this when it released 20 years ago, and you come back to it, and you keep repeating it over the years, and you listen to it in over 20 years, I can totally see really enjoying this. When you know the length, you know how it goes, you can follow the story, you can follow the musical story, I know that makes sense. I can also see the influence that they have had on so many others. I brought up the one Veil of Maya influence, which obviously they have influenced Gent. They're kind of the grandfathers of Gent. And then Viljarta took that and transformed that into something else with Thal, which is not a genre, but whatever. Neither is Gent. Why did I say Gent? Das ist Gent, ja. I can totally see their influence, and I can see how they, in this weird sort of style of just kind of having these crazy weird riffs and weird vocal parts and just very rhythmically complex music, I can totally see how they've influenced so many bands. And it's cool to see that. But just like my opinion of someone like Mozart or Bach, I think that while their influence is very impactful, I think many other bands that come after them do it much better. By doing the same kind of thing with intricate rhythms and concepts and things like that, but just done over an album that doesn't feel stretched too thin. Done over an album that can tell a musical story in a really compelling way and hold your interest for the entire duration of it. Ostaden und Erwarten being a very prime example of that. That album's an hour and 18 minutes, and it goes by in a blink of an eye. And this, struggling to get through 45. It's different. This is a complicated album to talk about, because hearing it for the first time in the year of our Lord 2025, 2 decades after its release, is a little bit of a weird experience. When I've heard so many albums and bands that have taken influence from this. And it's kind of the same thing for someone who might listen to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for the first time today, and all 12 of its variations. They might think it's like, oh, okay, that's cool, but like I've heard much better music. But you gotta appreciate the OGs. You gotta appreciate where it started. And I do. I think this is really well done. It's just long. It's just long, and I'm not a fan of that. But everything within that length is so good. And I am a big fan of that. So, yeah. This is also the opposite, the very polar opposite of something like, and I'm going to bring it up again, Colors, Between the Buried and Me, or like Native Construct, Quiet World, which are 2 albums that are on the crazy random prog kind of scale of things, and 2 albums that I have very polar opinions on, but 2 albums that kind of do the opposite. I'm just kind of at a loss for words and thoughts, and I think I'll just have to give it a few more listens over some time and update you guys later, and we'll see what I think of it in the future. Because obviously you all have had up to 20 years of listening to this album, and I have had an hour. So I'm going to need some time to digest, and I'll get back to you. That's what CoreyCast is for. Speaking of which, I got to record another episode. All right. Well, thank you to Andrew. Thank you to everybody else on my Patreon, and just everyone who watches me on YouTube in general. But if you pay me extra, thank you. Thanks for watching the video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on this album. Let me know any history of the album, the band, the story of the album that I should know, any context that I'm missing or whatever. And I'll catch you all in the next video. Goodbye.